side. Welcome back to watching Costa the Other Side. My name is Chumweka, and we move on to our next conversation with a very interesting guest, an amazing singer, very, very talented, and also a media personality doing TV, and doing TV also from around this place that we're at right now. And she's represented Zambia on a global scale just recently through the Global Citizen Festival, where she performed alongside Coldplay, and also nominated in the Diamond TV Personality of the Year Awards in the Gospel Personality of the Year category, which you can vote for using our website. Allow me to welcome the legendary Esther Chungu.
Chumweka, why are you like this?
That's what my script intro says. It says the legendary Esther
I receive
Chungu.
it in Jesus' name.
But do you feel it? Do you feel like you've reached legendary status?
No, I'm still working. I'm still working like an upcoming artist.
Yeah, but you know what? And I was telling you this before the show, and I think a lot of people can agree. You've had an amazing year so far. It's been good. You would attest to that, isn't it?
Yes, truly, it has been quite an amazing year. So many things have happened that I've even felt like it's been 2 years in 1 year. You know? Hello to everyone watching, by the way.
But let's talk about your genesis, and I know you've told part of the story before, but also for the sake of those who are catching it for the first time, how exactly you got into singing and what made you start singing? I always wonder how people realize that they have a voice for singing, because we all have voices.
Yes.
But it's not all of us that have
There's
melody.
the pleasant ones and there's the like.
So at what point do you realize that I have a voice that is unique?
Right. I think the people around you confirm it. And growing up, like I've said before, I grew up in a very musical home. My mother loves to sing. She would sing in the choir. My dad was very musical as well. So I would escort her to practice and whatnot. So I think that was building something in me. And even in primary school, high school as well, I would be involved in artistic activities. I would love singing, and I always felt alive. And so during my gap year, I got introduced to this platform called Bittersweet. Yes, so I would just go first and just watch and whatnot. But I started singing, and people around me were like, "You've got a voice." And if you take it seriously, it can be a big deal. Yes, so I think that's when I now started gaining that confidence, like, oh, I can do this more than just in the shower. Yeah.
And I know one part of your story is under the name Carmine.
Yes.
How did that come about also?
Oh my goodness. So that was when I got signed under Bittersweet Poetry. So they wanted an alias for me so that I have this stage presence, this stage name of some sort. And I went for the name Carmine. It's actually a shade of red. So I chose it as, a representation of the blood of Jesus Christ. And not trying to be deep. But I went back to my default settings, which is my real name, because I felt there's more power in that identity. There's a reason why I'm Esther. There's a reason why I'm Chungu. And so just also in memory of my dad, because he was Chungu. I was a junior. Yeah. I don't know if he was expecting a boy, but he had already given it to me.
Oh, he was ready.
He was ready. Yeah.
But let's talk about Bittersweet. I knew Bittersweet mostly for the poetry.
Yes.
So what exactly was it?
Bittersweet, it was for poetry. It's like a platform. It still is, I believe. It's just that those times would meet every fortnight and whatnot. It was founded by Kapembwa, Mwape, and also Mr. Enoch also stepped in. And it really just was this platform created for creatives, to just express themselves. And we really enjoyed seeing people on stage. So I sang on that stage as well, and that really gave me this opportunity to starting this journey. And so I'm forever grateful for that part of my journey.
Now, part of your story and journey through life is obviously the inculcation of Christian values. You spoke about how your mother would be a part of the choir, is it? And your father also had a musical background. I know there's this belief for some people out there that, a a daughter of a bishop, of a pastor, because I know that your extra dad is also a clergyman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's a bishop. Yeah.
Usually people believe that these are the naughtiest of people
Right,
ever. But how did you
right.
manage to still stay within that the Christian values?
That's a very good question. I think usually we repel because there's so much expectation placed on us as a result of our parents being in the spiritual and ministerial arena, and that in turn kind of just makes us be upset with God in one way or the other. You know, like why can't I be me? You know, and know myself. You know, it shouldn't be like, oh, you should be doing this because your father is a pastor or your mother is a pastor. And for me, what helped me is having a genuine personal relationship with God. And that's something that my mother taught me. You know, like at the end of the day, it's you and your walk with God. So that's what has helped me represent him as Esther, and not because my mother is a pastor, not because my dad is a pastor and whatnot. Yeah.
So did you ever experience those moments where just, why can't I just be me, and you just want to do your own thing that maybe be against? Exactly.
Especially even when I was starting to discover and explore this musical side of me, like on a more serious note. Of course, not everyone, especially even in the family, not everyone was for the idea, like, Esther, you know, that industry is crazy and whatnot. But I chose to take this leap because I believed in what I was feeling in my spirit. And so even when I talked to my mom and I talked to my close relatives, even though some were not for the idea then, but they get the picture now, they respected my decision. And I think doing something in a respectful way helps people understand your side of what the other side of the story and why you want to do something in particular. And seeing that I already made up my mind to be a gospel artist and to use my talent to spread the word of God, I think that makes things easier.
Great. Now, I know that in your music journey, there's also a musical journey, there's the influence of the likes of Mag 44, who came through Brave Only. How did that impact your career?
Oh, tremendously, Chimweka, because then it's that like I've had an interesting journey. Like it's just like, okay, on to the next, on to the next. Yes, I got introduced to Stephen Wale from Retunes.
Oh, yes.
And yes, through Stephen, I met Mag 44. I met Churchu Lukuta, and like they just saw something in me. Of course, like I believed in myself, but truly they believed in me even more because I don't know what they saw in me, and they saw the future, I guess, before it even came to life. So that's how Mag 44 stepped in. Stephen Wale started managing me as well under Retunes, and then they created Brave Only, which I got signed to as well. And it was an amazing initiative for different artists. And Magnus produced my first album, which is Muvanga. And he also produced some of the songs from April. But Church took over most of the work. But yeah.
You know, I was having a conversation with a workmate of mine, and we're talking about how Mag 44, it's like, when you talk about the urban artists doing gospel music, you find that Mag 44 is like had a hand in almost everybody, whether it's production, even just the producers we have now, the Solomon Plates of this world. Mag 44, how would you also describe his impact in the industry generally?
It's been a beautiful impact because Mag 44 is one of those artists who pours not just into his own craft, but in the crafts of others. And it's not even just to get applause or anything, because I don't think a lot of people know how much he's played a role in most of our lives. You know, me, Microphone 7, Solomon Plates, Church Ulukuta, just to mention a few, even Super Rhymer, you know, and just how he's always ready to be of help. That in itself is an exemplary part of his life and his journey. So I celebrate you, Brother Mag 44, and I really hope the world also just celebrates him more because he's a powerhouse. Yeah.
But one thing that we've also seen when we talk about the musical journey, still within the industry itself, is obviously you and Pompey. Obviously, you're expecting this to come up, and we cannot miss out on that conversation. It happened. I know we've spoken briefly about it on the table, but also for the sake of the viewer who's catching it for the first time, tell us about how the journey has been so
Yeah.
far, being married to Chaka.
Thank you for that. Being married to Chaka
Yeah.
and not Pompey. It has been an amazing journey, really. And, you know, like I always say, we try by all means to just keep the important things to ourselves, because we are the ones, you know,
Yeah.
in the journey. But I will say it has been a very, very beautiful and interesting time of our lives. And we've been married for 6 months now.
Yeah.
Like how time flies, it's almost a year now. We are learning and unlearning things,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful to do it with your
Wait,
best
did you
friend.
say unlearning?
And unlearning,
Okay.
yes.
So meaning
yeah.
like the things that you were taught or maybe told,
Yes.
and then you're like, okay, this doesn't work.
Yes, no, as in there's things we were taught and
Uh-huh.
things that we had expectations of.
Oh,
So the
okay.
expectations in our minds are the
Uh-huh.
things we are unlearning, and even, you know, patience, the fruit of the spirit. It's
Yeah.
now practical. It's not just reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, people probably out there have the impression that, oh, these guys, it's all rosy, they have it all
No,
nice,
trust
and they
me.
see all they love it, they'll be like, oh, we want that for
Yeah,
ourselves. But there's
exactly.
probably other sides to it as well.
Exactly. It's life. It's like siblings, you
Yeah.
know. Some days will be great, some days won't be, but through it all, you remember the whole bigger picture, why you are together, and you know what about this person makes you love them even more.
Yeah.
You focus on that.
Somebody was suggesting that probably soon Chaka should be my Shubukombe. Would you recommend?
I'll definitely recommend.
We'll see about
that.
But speaking of siblings, you're
Yeah.
quite close with your young brother by just
Yes.
1 year, is it?
Yeah, by 1 year. By 1
Tell
year.
us about the relationship you have. I know I've seen him around a couple
Yes.
times. You're also around. Tell us
Yeah.
about the relationship you have.
So I have 2 biological brothers,
Okay.
and then since mom got married, we're now 9.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've got like 5 amazing sisters and 1 other brother who lives in Botswana. But for Nathan and Josiah, we've grown up literally like triplets, because we were just like pa. So mom had me 94, Nathan 95, Josiah 90 what? Because he's 3 years younger than me, so I don't know. But
It's always
anyway.
a sibling thing to forget the
Exactly.
age of one of them.
But he's the Kasuli.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and we're quite close. I think we've made it an intentional thing to, I for one have made it intentional to make them a part of my lives and make it my life, and make them very close to what I do, so that they learn even as we grow, because big sis, you
Yeah.
know, there's those responsibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they're doing quite good for themselves, and I'm very proud of them.
Last time I met him was just after you came back from
Yes.
the US when
Yeah.
you went for the Global Citizen Festival. Let's talk about that as well. As our Beyonce.
Oh my goodness.
We never let that one go.
I think you will never let it go.
Tell us about that experience,
Right.
being there, the time you arrived, and the treatment you got,
Yeah.
the support and love you got from Zambians as well.
Right. First of all, I always say this every chance that I get. Thank you so much to Diamond TV for really just showing up that day. I was so moved. You've got no idea. I'll
Really?
cherish that day forever. Yes, you're literally like the only
Yeah.
TV station that was there. So thank you so much. But my experience that side was like, it was beautiful. Chimweka. It was amazing. You know, I had my own my dresser. You know,
Really?
like a trunk.
Ah.
Like, what?
A trailer, is it
A
what they
trailer
call
of
it?
some
Yeah.
sort, yes.
Yeah.
So like I had our own dressing room, you know, it was written Esther Chungu. Like the intentions and the small little things.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really grateful for that experience. And even after singing, there's different people who came to me, some even crying, like, I don't know you, but I'm so grateful for what you've done on stage. And the only word they were hearing is Jehovah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I guess the song did its job. So
What are some of your highlights? Or especially, let's talk about the good moments that you're able to remember while you're there. Obviously, apart from these on-stage moments.
yes,
Actually, like backstage, what are some of your favorite moments that you can remember?
backstage, some of the greatest, some of the beautiful moments I remember, you know, meeting Billie Eilish.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's like, oh, you're wearing a beautiful dress.
Oh.
Shawn Mendes as well, Camila Cabello, they came to just say hi. Also, before the show, I got to see the Statue of Liberty.
Nice.
I went to Times Square, and it was just a beautiful experience. I was just sad that I wasn't doing it with my best friend, Chaka.
But what about your low moments?
My low moments is where now that comes in. The fact that I was literally alone at the end of the day, and not having a person I love share that moment with
So you had to do a lot of video calling
Yes,
and all that.
a lot of video calling, a lot of, time difference thingies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because it's that 6 hours difference.
Exactly.
I see. But tell us what else you love to get up to. If you're not in studio, if
Right.
you're not on set, if you're not pretty much working, what do you love to get to for fun?
Funny enough, I've been enjoying cooking. I
Oh
should
yes,
confess.
oh yes. I was told that you're actually quite good in the kitchen.
I should confess that I never used to like cooking growing up. I used to think it's a punishment.
Yeah.
But that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I've learned to enjoy the art of cooking. That cooking in itself is an art, And I experiment in the kitchen. I love cooking. There's a way I make my butternut. There's a certain way I make fish fillet. And I also have my own version of pepper steak.
Ah, okay.
Yes, and I'm glad Mr. Nyatando enjoys it because it would have been awkward.
What's his favorite?
His favorite is the steak that I usually make
Okay.
with potatoes. They're baked potatoes, so I add some spices.
Yeah.
And I grill most of my foods, so we make sure that we stay healthy.
I know when you're invited for the wood kitchen with Lulu Angala,
Yes.
he had a good time.
We both had a good time,
Yeah.
and we learned something. There's actually a recipe that I learned from Lulu for sweet potatoes, and I did it when I went home and he enjoyed it.
Because
so
he
much.
loved it. Just like, no. You can't make my husband enjoy this. And
I'm gonna take it up.
Esther, it's an amazing chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chumweka. Thank you so much for having me. Love you, Diamond TV.
Yeah. So that's our conversation with Esther, as we have been looking at her career and what she's been able to do over the last couple of years, and this year being an amazing one for her. What do you think about the show? Let's get interactive using the Diamond TV Zambia Facebook page. We appreciate the comments that have come through so far, and we do have more coming up as the rest of the evening continues. My name is Chumweka Chileshe, the low budget Costa for today. Enjoy the rest of the evening on Diamond TV.